Okay, guys, so, yeah, this is recording. But it seems like my JJS video a while ago, like a few hours ago, did actually really well. So, of course, I'm going to be making another one, because you guys actually seem to like that for some reason. But, as you see here, I am doing, like... Okay. Anyways, we're gonna be doing, like a little skill builder tutorial. It's not gonna have everything. It's just gonna include, like, the basics, basically. So, these right here are just gonna let me separate these over here. But basically, so with the touch block, you'll need the touch block for, like, a lot of stuff, actually. So, you see the output ID. Put in any number or letter that you want. I'm just going to put 1 for the time being. And, let's say that you want, like, you want a custom move, right? But first, to actually do that properly, if you don't want to have, like, your old moves on, like, something, you will have to use a erase block, basically. An erase block will, clear your old moves, like the Lapis Blue, Reversal Red, Rapid Punches, which is basically your default moves. And you see the input ID. Put in the same number as the touch block ID, and then if you walk into it now, as you can see, it cleared my moves. But basically, so let me just move this a bit, like, over here now. Okay. So then, now you want to make a custom move, right? So then you gotta drag this over here too. I'm gonna move this slightly outward a bit, so then that way I can still select both. But if you guys want, you can just put that like this, but it would be slightly harder to, like, do stuff with, I guess you could say. To, like, click on the moveset thing again in case you mess something up. But, like, from here, you can put in the same ID as your touch block. Let me remove this ID on this one real quick, because I don't want that to be confusing with the arrows and stuff. But as you can see, the best way to tell if it's connected, of course, is the, like, arrows. But basically, so Divergent Fist, that's the move, of course. Like, if you want to put in a Reversal Red or something, that'll be the move. And then 10 is the cooldown. You could set it as, like, 1, or you can just set it as, like, 300. It doesn't matter that much. And so, number 1, what that number 1 means is your move, like, key. Like, if you're on keyboard or something, and you want it to be, like, dedicated to a certain keybind, you will have to set that as your keybind. So, basically, if you want it as number 1 and you have to press number 1 to use it, you'll have to set it as number 1, of course. And then the display name, you can type in, like, whatever you want, like, I'm just gonna say Goofy Red. And if you do that, it will basically, like, just rename the move that. And if you want to get a bit more, like, detailed into this, let me give you a little example of what you should do. So if you press on, custom over here, like in, I think I gotta show you guys again. You see this button, custom, press that, press on the skill, and then click on whichever one of these that you want to use. For my example, I'm going to use Rapid Punches. And, okay. I'm going to use Rapid Punches. And then I'm going to wait 4 seconds before it uses something else. So basically, wait means that it will have to wait before you use something else. If you don't have a wait block, or like a wait node, and then you just do something like this, it'll use it instantly, basically. But I'm going to wait 4 seconds, and then use his special again. So I will have to spawn in a dummy over here, actually, so I can demonstrate this a little better. And then, so I'm going to set this back as 1 for a second, but don't worry about that one too much. So As you can see, I have rapid punches, wait 4 seconds, and then use his special limitless. I'm going to name this, let's say, Skull Crusher. And then if I were to take the move, right? And like, just use it normally. Like, watch this. It will automatically do what I told it to do. So, see? It will automatically do something like that. Like, if you want it to do a variant type of stuff, then you can do what I did. And then, let me just give you a little example of what I do after that. So, after it uses Limitless, I'll wait 2 seconds. I'll use another skill. I think I maybe will use Defense Attorney's Grapple. Wait 1 second after that. And then maybe go into Cursed Strikes. But right now, I'm going to clear my move again. So then that way I can actually demonstrate it again. So after that's cleared, I'll move this over here. So then that way you guys won't have to see me move this every second. But then I'll move this back over here. I'll select it. And then I'll use it again. But now it does something else different. So it will do this, but it will grapple and then hit them with this. See? And then that's like a simple little combo, I guess you could say. I do have to fix the timing on the wait, because it did wait a little bit too long to use, and that would have been way easier escapable if that was a moving player. So I'm gonna clear my move again, okay? And then basically, let me just demonstrate some other stuff real quick. So that was just it for the moves, basically. It's pretty simple. I will have to talk about the cancel last and hold for, but I'll tell you about that later or in another video. So basically, if you see something called velocity, this one's a bit confusing. So velocity basically is like, I guess, moving, I guess. So if I want it to go like, I think y-axis is up, so I'll set that as 70. And then if I do something like jump, I guess I could name it that. Time is kind of confusing, not really. If you set it as 1, that's how long it takes for you to go up. So, like, watch this. So, see? It can do something like that. Or, if you want it to go forward, you can do something like, I think x-axis is forward. So, I'll set that as 50, and then that way you guys can actually see stuff properly and what I do exactly. And then, so like, I'll use it again. Okay, so that's sideways. Okay. My bad, that is sideways. But, basically, I think you understand that a little better now, since this is sideways, I guess. And then if I set this as, I guess this one's forward this time, so I'll set this one as 50 this time. And then I hope that it works better this time. And it should. So I'll clear this. And then I'll select this again. Okay, I accidentally selected both these a bit too much. But now I select this. It should move me forward, like at an auto pace. See, like I cannot move around any other direction during that stage. Unless you use, you go down here and use track. I think this is what it would be. If you use track, it should track your camera, basically. And, therefore it should, like, use everything properly, I guess you could say. I do have to clear my moves for some reason, but it's not clearing, which is really confusing. I will have to maybe move this a bit inward more. I don't know. Okay, there we go. And then, so then while we use this again, so now watch, you can move while, like, you can, it basically just tracks your, like, camera, basically. So if you're in shift lock, it'll like track your movements, but if you're not, it won't. So you have to be in shift lock for this to work properly. As you can see, without shift lock, it just moves me forward. If I'm in shift lock, I can move. See? Basically, that's kind of mostly the easiest parts about velocity. If we go to last hit, so this is a little confusing, but basically last hit means anything below 0 will hit yourself. But if it's at 1 or something, like above 0, it'll hit the person that you hit, like, first, I guess you could say. Here, let me demonstrate this, actually. If hopefully it removes my moves. Yeah, there we go. And then let me demonstrate this a bit better. We'll get to other stuff in a second, but if it can give me the move, which is like really confusing on why it doesn't sometimes. I will have to change this though. Actually, no, I'll keep this as 50 and like get this back, but for some reason it doesn't give me, which is like kind of confusing me here on why it's not. I might have to move it inside of this like this. Okay, yeah. But this is kind of a bit like difficult to do. And basically, so then let's say that you have it as last hit. Basically what that would do is it will do something like this. If you use it, it'll do something like that. But if you don't use it on anyone, it'll just use it on yourself. So like, as you can see, if you use it, it kind of does it to them. So that's basically what last hit means. So if it's anything below 0, it'll hit yourself. Anything above 0, it'll hit your target. Fade basically means that it will fade out of like your movements and it won't stop exactly when you want it to, I guess you could say. So let me demonstrate this if you guys need. I guess that was pretty self-explanatory though on fade. Instead of stopping exactly when you want it to, it will like fade out of it basically. So see, it'll slowly stop instead of like immediately stopping. And then that's kind of mostly it for velocity. True ragdoll basically means that you can't get out of that like by side dashing or anything. And then ragdoll, you can set it as a random time, and it will ragdoll you or the other person for that amount of time. And then let's go to hitbox. So basically, this means like how big you want it, I think, or like how, like, I don't know how to explain this exactly very well, but this is just like how big it is, I guess. And then, but this is also how big it is. So let me just set this as 60 per se, and then I'll set it as like a 1 second stun, yeah. And then let's say like I want it to do like 1000 damage or something. Blockable right now isn't working, but I'll turn that off just for that. And then basically, if I get the move again, so if I clear this and then get this again, I'll name this like, I'll just name it Death or something like that. I don't know. And so if I use it while walking, it should just like kill anything within a radius. So see, it'll kill literally anything within a radius, basically what that means. And if you want it to be like kind of constant and last for a little while, you can do wait a second and then just copy wait, and then like you just wait like every second, kind of like something like this, and it should wait. So it'll kill, wait a second, kill, wait a second, kill, wait a second, basically. That's basically what all that does. It's really useful for making stuff kind of like time stop that you guys seen in my last video if you watch that. But if you do if you do animation, like if let's say that I do like divergent fist or something for the skill and I want it as an animation, I can set this as an animation. And then you can set the timing that you want on it as like whatever you want. And if you go down here, you can change the speed of the animation, which basically either makes it faster or slower. And then you can do looped, which literally just loops the animation. And then I'll name this as just punch for some reason. I don't know. I'll just name it whatever. And then if I get this back, if I can clear my moves real quick, which refuses to work sometimes, which is like really annoying for some reason. I'm not sure why it's not working exactly. My game might be lagging, so that might be why too. So I'm not too sure though. So if I get this, and then if I go up to something, it should use that. So see, it kind of does like a different animation. And then with the animation, it basically just like literally just does animation. Like that's literally it. Let me demonstrate add health real quick. So I'm just gonna make like a simple little move real quick. That like basically heals you, and I'll cut back to that in a second. Okay, so I made like a simple little move. It will not stop you from moving since I did not do a velocity block with it, and I did not set it as like stop or something like that. But for basically, it does an animation and then does health. So I will need a dummy to demonstrate this with, so that way I will actually need to take damage. But like, I'm gonna take a little bit of damage and then just watch my health as I use my move, basically. So I use the move, and then it starts like healing. You see that? It'll heal me, and then use the move, basically. So, and then this is just like all that I did, basically. Add health, which is a mount, basically. You can like set it to whatever you want to heal. If you want it to heal 100 health, then like add 100 or something. But I did wait, add health, because I wanted it to be like timed to go up, basically. Basically, when you do this, you will, like, I don't know how to exactly explain it, but I think if you do negative something like that, it subtracts health. And then add evasion, I haven't gotten to that part yet, so I can't really tell you much about that. But add awakening, that just adds, like, when you use the move, it'll add that much awakening to your awakening bar, basically. And, so I think that's, like, basically most of the stuff with, moveset block. And, let me just move this right here, and then I'll teach you about the awakening block. Okay, so the awakening block is basically like the moveset block, except it uses your awakening. So let me just make a move real quick to demonstrate on how, and I will not cut this out because you can maybe use this too if you want. So I'll use Crushing Rushdown. I'll wait 4 seconds. I'll use Grapple from Defense Attorney. And then I'll wait a second after that. and then I'll use rapid punches. I'll wait 4 seconds, and I'll use his special. And then after that, I'll wait 1 more second, and then use grapple again, let's say. And then I'll wait another second, of course. And then I'll use, let's say, crushing jaw, something like that. And then you can name this whatever you want. You can name it something like wombo combo, and it will basically just kind of do exactly what you want it to do. So as you can see, my awakening changed, and if I use it, it'll automatically use the move, and I don't know if this will work fully, so I'm just kind of hoping that it does, but it's so far so good. Yep, and then it works. It'll grapple them and then use cleaver or crushing jaws. And then see, it'll do something like that. But if you don't want it to like wait some time after that, you can set it as like 1 or something, and it'll basically like show that your ult ended as soon as you use that move. Or you can set it as like a high number to allow them not to be able to gain ult after. So if you like want to delay them basically, then you can do something like that. Okay, so let me do another demonstration. So basically, let's say I use this skill, like, I'll use defense attorney grapple, wait a second, and then use, like, let's say a special this time. Let's use cleave. So basically, if I reset, because I'll have that old ult, which I do not want. So when I reset, it should give me all this stuff back, which I don't really want either, but basically, so as you can see, it changed the move name, or changed the ult name to Wombo Combo. And then let me just clear my moves again, because this just refuses to work sometimes. Which just kind of gets really annoying, but I guess that's at the cost of me making a video. But now you see I have something called Wombo Combo again. And then if let's say I have Awakening, like I just gained Awakening, I grapple them, and then I use that, basically. And then see, it's just something like that. As simple as it gets, really. That's basically it for the Awakening block, because it's almost the same as the moveset block, except you have to awaken to use it, basically. And if you want to make a move in Awakening, instead of making like a move in your Awakening, to make like an actual Awakening, you can go over to the moveset block, go to Properties, and then Prevent Override, replace if skill is occupied, keep when moveset switches, and hide in base. Actually, I don't think we need to replace skill if occupied, actually. But hide in base, keep when moveset switches, and prevent override. But if you don't want it in your Awakening, don't put on hide in base. Put on hide in Awakening, and then that should be it. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's just it. And then branches, I don't really know how to explain branches, so I can't really go over that. Sound, though, is like, if you put in the sound ID that you want, it'll play that sound. The volume, if you put it at like 100, it'll play it loud. Just kind of stuff like that. And then let me just, I thought the damage block was interesting, so I thought I'd show you that. So if I do something over here, the damage, I can do something like 50. And then if I walk into it, it'll instantly kill me. Okay. But it'll just deal damage while you're inside of the block, basically. So let me just try and demonstrate this without dying, but okay, that's kind of hard to. So I'm gonna change this, but basically, so if I set this as like 1 every second, oh, hold on, I gotta show this guy something. And then, yeah. And basically, okay, so after I did that to him, basically, if you go over here and then walk into this, you see that my health is like constantly going down as I'm in it. My bad, that went there. But if you change that, it'll heal you every health. Or like every second, something like that, you see? So, like, you can change this however you want, really. I thought it was interesting that I wanted to explain it to you, kind of on how that works. I would talk about some other stuff, but there's not much other stuff for me to explain. Like, I'm not going to explain everything. This is just, like, the basics that I think you need to know in case you want to start, like, your own custom moveset map or something like that. Anyways, that's the end of the video. Consider liking the video or something. Be nice if you subscribed. But, yeah. Anyways, I hope you guys can make a good moveset map, and I hope you guys do a good job. And I hope that I actually taught you guys something. So, bye.